Hey everyone, and welcome back to TowerGate, day 73. It is Monday, and it is May the 15th, I do believe. It's day 73, I do know that. Okay, kind of a slow day today on TowerGate, but there is one story that has been breaking in the last 24 hours or so. And this particular story has two really good sources on it. One from The Rebel, which I believe is Jack's Probasic, and also from Adam Housley, who's been doing a lot of good reporting for the FoxNews.com. And I believe he was the original source of this story. And according to Adam Housley of Fox.com, he has sources inside the FBI that are telling him that Comey dropped the Susan Rice unmasking investigation because he would have implicated himself, because if he was worried that if he continued that investigation, that it would allow investigators to find out something that maybe he did, that James Comey did, that he did not want them to know about. So it appears that as this story plays itself out, it's becoming clearer to me that what we really have going on here is that we had Jack Brennan of the CIA conducting this surveillance and outside the FBI, because remember, the FBI, when they do things, they generally do them by the book. They are authorized to do domestic wiretapping, spying, and things like that, but they must seek FISA warrants or some sort of a general criminal warrant. With the CIA, it works in a completely different way. Everything they do is clandestine, and as a result, their charter is that they're not supposed to be dealing with issues within the United States. The CIA is a foreign intelligence agency, but of course we know that they've been getting involved in domestic intelligence for a very long time, and it's for this reason that there's a long history with the CIA and the FBI crossing swords, I guess you might say. But in this particular case, it appears that there is collaboration. It appears to me that what we have going on here is Jack Brennan of the CIA working in collaboration with the Obama administration, the Hillary Clinton people, to conduct this illegal surveillance, political espionage, having nothing to do with national security. And then you have James Clapper, who's the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, who's over all of these organizations. And apparently he was acting as well in the background in collaboration with Brennan and the Obama administration, and probably with higher ranking people in the Obama administration, including Rice, Ben Rhodes, and Valerie Jarrett. And it also appears now that James Comey was acting as the gatekeeper. This would explain why he protected Attorney General Lynch and didn't push for a motion for her to proceed with charges against Hillary Clinton. It's the reason why probably James Comey stood up at the podium, laid out the case against Hillary, and then let her off the hook, acting as the Attorney General himself, when in fact that was not his role. His role was investigative. He should have conducted the investigation. He should have taken all those things he said at the podium. He should have gone directly to Loretta Lynch and said, here you go, here's what we found, and it's her decision on what to do. But she had to recuse herself because of the meeting on the plane with Bill Clinton. So I guess James Comey decided at that point that he should take charge of the situation. What really should have happened is he should have gone to the next in command, which would have been Sally Yates, the assistant. But he did not do that, as we know. But it appears now, to me, with this latest revelation, that James Comey was acting as a gatekeeper. Whether this was to protect himself, which I'm sure to some extent it was, to protect people in the Obama administration, to protect the integrity of the FBI or the government itself. I don't know what his rationale, what his reasonings were for this, but it does appear that at this point, with this information that we're learning now from Adam Housley at Fox.com, that James Comey didn't want to pursue the unmasking, and that would explain everything. Well, not everything, but it does explain why he has not been able to take a serious effort at finding the person who leaked the Flynn phone call with the Russian ambassador. It would explain why he has not produced the documents that's been requested by both the House and the Senate committees that are looking into this. He's been dragging his feet and not sending the information they've requested regarding the unmasking that was done primarily by Susan Rice and probably others. It appears that James Comey has been a bit of a gatekeeper. So maybe there's more to his firing than what we've been led to believe at this point. Maybe Trump has gotten this information himself from another source, and maybe James Comey is a lot more involved, not so much maybe in the operations that were going on in these political operations, but in trying to cover up or protect himself and the FBI. Maybe he was a collaborator. It's really hard to say because everything is just too fuzzy right now. But certainly it appears that this explains why he hasn't wanted to answer very many questions, regardless of whether it's in open or closed hearings, why he has been dragging his feet on providing the documents that have been requested. It explains a lot of things, that James Comey may not just be the dupe, but he in fact may be one of the key players. And it's becoming more and more obvious to me at this point also that it's 73 days into TowerGate and 75 days since Donald Trump tweeted out that he was being surveilled. It appears to me that we are not anywhere near the end of this story. In fact, I would have to say at this point we are literally just at the beginning of this story. What we have right now is a lot of distraction going on because we have three different things. We have the general investigation into Russia and their so-called alleged involvement in our elections, and we have the Russian-Trump collusion, and then we have, of course, the surveillance of the Trump administration. Now, it appears to me that the first two things are going to run out of steam eventually because there simply is little or no evidence. There's maybe some evidence that the Russians were manipulating or trying to manipulate our elections. And I expect that they do this in many elections, and the United States does it, and everyone else does it. All governments, intelligence agencies meddle to some extent in foreign elections. Okay, so I think that that's not a major revelation, but I don't think that they're going to find anything major that they can use to make a strong case that Russia had any influence on the outcome of the election. So I think that this is going to fade away as we move forward in the next couple weeks or months, probably weeks, because eventually they'll simply run out of fumes. I mean, they're running on fumes now. There's really no evidence, or if there is evidence, no one is showing it to us. You can only run this charade so long without some evidence. The same is true with the Russia-Trump collusion. There is really no evidence, and you can only use the media and political apparatchiks and people like that, the minions. You can only carry that so far. Eventually, you have to produce some evidence, and if you don't, the thing is just going to fade away. So I believe that those two things are going to fade away in the next few weeks, and that will leave the last man standing, and that is the only thing that we have real evidence of, and that is that there was, at the very least, illegal unmasking of the Trump and ambassador phone call, Russian ambassador, and that being leaked. That is a crime which Comey should have solved a long time ago. Should have taken a couple weeks to find out who was responsible for leaking that. Obviously, now we know that Comey wasn't trying to find the leaker. But we expect there'll be a new FBI director in about a week, and I expect in the next few weeks we will probably find out who it was who did leak that conversation about between Flynn and the Russian ambassador. We also have more and more evidence. We even have Susan Rice admitting on PBS that there was unmasking. We have Clapper now admitting there was unmasking. We have Comey admitting there was unmasking. We have Sally Yates admitting there was unmasking. No one's denying that. So the only of those three topics that we've looked at, the only one that has any hard evidence that something actually happened was the surveillance, not just on Trump and his team, but also on possibly other Republican candidates in the field, and God knows who else. So it appears that that is the only thing that's going to be left standing in the next few weeks when all these other fairy tales drift away. And once that is the only thing left standing, and that's where the main focus is, I believe we're going to start learning a lot more. I also believe that if in fact James Comey did not destroy those 47 hard drives from that whistleblower, Dennis Montgomery, that will blow this thing wide open. And I imagine that that's what Trump and Jeff Sessions are going to want to get their hands on. My guess is they're probably going through James Comey's files right now, and his things in his office, his file cabinets, whatever, trying to find that hard drive, the 47 hard drives. My guess is they're turning that office upside down right now, trying to find everything they can that Comey was going to try to hide and probably would have destroyed or taken out if he would have had the chance. But again, they secured his office on the morning of his firing, making sure that nothing would ever leave that office. So anyway, it looks like to me that we are at the beginning of this and not the ending. I believe as this moves forward, I believe we are going to get to the bottom of it, because normally in these types of investigations, the president is part of the swamp. But in this case, Donald Trump, President Trump, is not part of the swamp. And in this particular case, he was the target. So I'm pretty sure Donald Trump wants to get to the bottom of it. So I believe that when we get toward the bottom of this thing, we are going to possibly see Sessions appoint a special prosecutor, because I think that there will be plenty of evidence to support the fact that there were crimes committed. I think that we could very well see people like Clapper, Brennan, Comey himself, certainly Rice, probably Jarrett, probably Ben Rhodes. I would think Hillary Clinton, Loretta Lynch, Susan Yates, and even John McCain, all sitting in front of a jury and a judge, answering questions about whether or not they participated in a political operation to destroy a presidential candidate, then the president-elect, and then the president himself. And this will all, of course, have been orchestrated in the full knowledge of President Obama. But again, we do not throw former presidents in jail. We pardon them, and that's most likely what would happen to him. But his legacy will certainly be destroyed, and this will do great damage to the Democratic Party. This is what I see coming. It may take a few months, it may take a couple of years, but at this point, I can say, just from the evidence that we have, that if there is a desire on behalf of President Trump and Attorney General Sessions, if there is a desire to find out who was involved in this crime, which we now know is a crime, if they have the desire in the stomach to go through with it, that these are likely the people who will be facing some kind of justice. And it's politically a minefield when you do this type of thing, but we'll just have to see how it all turns out. But I have no doubt in my mind at this point that we're looking at a much larger conspiracy by members of the Obama administration, the Attorney General's office, the FBI, the intelligence agencies, all in collaboration on behalf of the larger deep state to destroy the candidacy of Donald Trump and then his presidency as well moving forward. And for that, I think Donald Trump probably understands it, and for that he just may well have the stomach to go all the way through with this thing until it finally plays itself out. But there's way too much smoke for there not to be any fire here, and there's just too many things coming out. And I believe once Comey is gone, I believe there'll be a lot of people within the FBI who will maybe start cooperating with the investigation. We might start getting even more leaks. We'll probably find out pretty soon, once we get a new FBI director, who did the unmasking, which Comey's obviously been protecting, those people and that person or whoever it was. And we'll probably find out who leaked the phone call between Flynn and the Russian ambassador. And if that person's name is Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, Ben Rhodes, that puts us inside the White House, inside the Obama administration itself, and that will open up a massive can of worms, and we will be well on our way to what I've suspected all along is something much larger than Watergate. So that's day 73, TowerGate. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow. Y'all take care.